Honestly, this is probably one of the most interesting lists I've seen in a while. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more awesome content. So Master Duel got its ban list update this morning, and I wanted to walk through some of this stuff because we are going to expect some changes. This should impact future TCG design space, which is kind of interesting. So unfortunately, Fossil Dino Pachycephalo has not been banned. This is something that, while it's still at 3 in the OCG, and it's still pretty impressive that, it still shows up every once in a while, as a 1 to 2 of in the rock decks, you don't really tend to see it being too much of a problem over there because the Adamantipator rock deck has kind of fallen off. But the fact that it still has become a problem in Master Duel, thank you TCG players. We also do get to see the Barrier Statue of the Drought going as well. Once again, it's a floodgate that stops earth monsters from, doing their thing. Both of these are rock cards that do the same functional thing with a difference of, a whole whopping 200 attack points between the two. But when you're seeing these in combination with each other, it kind of spinballs out of control. The Lyrilisk Independent Nightingale, there is really nothing good that we can say about this card as to why this card needs to not be banned across all the formats. Japan was using this as an FTK fairly recently because, the new Link 5 is able to dump it. Same thing here, but we don't have the tools to make the Supreme King Dragon that ends up abusing this card. So the Master Duel just decided, hey, we're going to go ahead and we'll take care of the problem by banning the Independent Nightingale. Makes sense to me. Also, holy crap, about time. Harpy's Featherstorm is now unifiably banned across all of the formats. I think that this is probably one of the biggest W's coming out of this list for Master Duel, because they really do need to keep Harpy's Featherstorm. Like, this card has just become so much of a problem over the years. Generically, having access to turn off an entire field of, with just a single wind monster is crazy. Branded Fusion uniformly going to 1. This is, they've already been given the Fallen of the White Dragon, which, was a great upgrade to Wabaz. But to be fair, the TCG had Branded Fusion at 2 for how long of its life, and it didn't really feel like it did much. Obviously, Albaz, all jokes aside, the deck still feels top 5 for sure. The deck is able to generally really mess up a lot of the current meta, and I do think that still seeing this card limited to 1, I know Konami wants to experiment around. They want to try to probably move this 2 to 3, but at the moment, unless they do some other things, looks like we're kind of locked in here. Semi-limits. Q going to 2. So this is an interesting choice. To be fair, this is the special summon from the hand deck or graveyard, which is already insane. And it does allow you to excavate cards from the top of your opponent's deck. Now, as we have previously talked about Cool Tunes being allowed to disrupt the opponent's draws, stack up, a potential card. You're able to take out a combo piece from my deck, stack my deck, gain hand knowledge because of Rotary, and, build up a big field. These are all things that not every Yu-Gi-Oh deck should be allowed to do. That's why, hitting the consistency hits while slapping the deck on the wrist, and, kind of allowing Rotary to exist within, the scope of the formats is understandably annoying. But I think Q to start getting limited is an interesting choice. Radiant Typhoon Vision. So this is the first of the formats. Sorry, I have allergies this morning. Radiant Typhoon Vision, this is the first of the formats that have looked at Vision and said, I guess Genesis format looked at this card first, but this is the first of the formats that said, Radiant Typhoon is looking to abuse this card, but also Sky Striker wants to play this card because it's a free draw to pitch a spell card. And then at the end of the cycle with Sky Striker, you've already set up, two spells into the graveyard with this. You filtered 2 more cards out of your deck, You're just getting to that threshold of 3 spells to be cleared, and you're effectively just gassing up and you're ready to go. I honestly would not be surprised to eventually see this card go to 1. I still think it's one of those cards that's just very, very good. Cool Toon Synchro to 2. TCG is the only one to not do this yet. This is one of the very few cards in the game that says you can activate up to 2 Cool Toon Synchro per turn. I think giving the deck 3 means that you can go through your 2 offensively and then still have the 3rd to do the defensive play. And I don't really like that. I think that this card and the way that the deck is designed, you should be allowed to use it either as offensive or defensive. And I think once we see more people kind of start to realize, if we gave Cool Toon Synchro too much on both sides of the spectrum, there has to be a little bit of a dial back somewhere. Ratpier back to 2. So if you guys were fairly paying attention over the last month and a half, Ratpier went back to 3 in Master Duel. And holy crap, did it cause a dumpster fire. It didn't really make a giant splash in like the crazy Duelist Cup in the back end of things. It really caused issues for players that were just they were just so sick of going, oh, here we go again, I'm playing against Sue. Here comes the massive combo lines that this deck wants to push through. And I don't really blame players for really being upset by just seeing, Zoodiac Trident and the rest of the rank 4 package kind of come into town and punching them. It's a little bit annoying to deal with on the, back end of things. So, to be quite honest with you, Ratpier going back to 2 is just naturally a check. Too many people complained about Zoodiac Ratpier being able to extend off too many free bodies. And it does kind of cause issues. As much as I think, it's a little bit crazy that, Ratpier is still a problem in 2026. Getting 2 free bodies that do not restrict you in any way. There's nothing on this card that says, you have to use them for Exceed materials. No, you can link someone with them. You can do whatever else that you need to do with them. And that's kind of a crazy fact to think about. We're also seeing Radiant Typhoon Chant going to 2. I think this is just their compensation. By navigating Vision and Chant to 2, this pretty much just checks the fact that, we can hit the Searcher and still do our thing. And also, moving both of them to 2 is a fair hit. Because honestly, Chant should be at 1. Vision at 3 is okay, but they're just like, if we go 2-2 across the board with these, we don't really have to worry about cleaning up really too much more with that, so that's fine. Interestingly enough, Yummy Snatchy to 3. This is a real test, but to be fair, if you've started, what is Yummy's end board going to be? Herald has pretty much been cratered in the TCG. It's still alive in the OCG, but the reality of the situation is, dare I say, Yummy's starting to get power crept right now, which is kind of crazy to see. I understand that, to 3, I feel like this is the test. They took Ratpier, put it to 2, and now they're just like, well, what if we put Snatchy back to 3 to start to see how this is going to go? OSS back to 3 here as well. It's already at 3 in the OCG. The piles are pretty much dead. I think the TCG is the only one that still has this locked up. As we've talked about in the past, we do know that the Sinful Spoils is going to be the next part of the anime. There is a highly likely chance we will see Diabellstar and friends possibly getting a Chronicles deck. And I will imagine that the TCG might have to make a banlist decision at that time to shift OSS back. Also, Eclipse Wyvern is back. Holy crap. The fact we're moving in Master Duel, TCG, why are we still debating on this? What are we so worried about? Is it the fact that, this card's not basically once per turn and that it's able to salvage back some of the most brokenly busted cards in the entire game? Because, yeah, that possibly seems like could be an issue, but it's chaos. I don't really feel like this is as broken as it used to be. But this list, Ratpier getting checked back out of the game is kind of sad. Snatchy moving back to 3 is an interesting test. And these two are just topics of conversation that the TCG, I feel like, just wants to try to be ignorant on. But definitely a list of changes. So please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back at their day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.